Hello. Venus roars, breaks, envy becomes inspiration. Welcome to a Soul Arts Energy Communiqué and calendar for June 4th to the 9th, 2026. I'm your host, Mary-Laurence Bevington. Venus and Jupiter hone in on the 25th degree of the sign of Cancer now and will conjunct on the 9th of June. As they dance, their planetary energies combine and enhance by an order of magnitude. Feels like a magnification of female power. Thankfully, Cancer offers a womb-like environment for their date, as Pisces' mutable water, within which Venus exalts, influences them from a distance. I have a footnote on that little note there. So this is happening on the 25th degree when Jupiter and Venus come together, and that's in the third decan of the sign, which ends up being influenced by the not the next element sign, but the next element sign. So for Cancer, it ends up being Pisces. I'm guessing I just confused some of you, but it is a pretty neat little aspect to all of this because Venus is exalted in Pisces. So, in fact, I would actually say that it's the inspiration for this whole piece. Okay, and if that didn't make sense, I'm sorry. Hopefully, it'll make sense later. Okay. Goddess of love, Venus sprung from Uranus' seed after he was castrated by Saturn's adamantine sickle in a father-son battle for power. Saturn went on to sire Jupiter, who overcame another father-son battle for power, as well as Saturn's efforts to imprison him within his own body via actually eating him, and became king of the gods. Ta-da! And blah, blah, blah. In considering a goddess born of the original father-son fight, we might say that Venus signifies the unbreakable egg, the flower blooming where planted, the nexus expanding into the miraculous. Venus arises, as does so much life, when Uranus seeds scatter across creation. Her energy gathers us together and gets us through this thing called life, as the late great artist formerly known as Prince put it. Also, she sustains the miracle. Presently, as an evening star, we see her set, and these days with Jupiter, knockout. Seems to me that if you choose to set an intention for this transit, you may well make your wish come true, and then some. It's worth noting that mythologically Jupiter could act entitled, exploitative, and not altogether cool. Like the ancient ones, when we consider him as a planetary energy, his benevolent archetypes take center stage, and his shadowy moments fall to the margins. Similarly, Venus shines, and if you listen closely, you may catch her song. As we breathe within a culture in which the bride plays in cinemas, streams, numerous survivors of the Epstein class testify, and leaders such as Senator Duckworth, Senator Warren, Representative Ocasio-Cortez, and Representative Stansbury, gubernatorial candidate Bottoms, and Governor Spanberger command our attention. And we hear the roar, buzz, build, break. A surplus of feminine energy in female, male, and intersex bodies expands towards seminal moments. And this time, the feminine refuses to be pit against itself and each other. She refuses to divide. Rather, competition born of envy, insecurity, and ego out of balance reconfigures into inspiration. And we realize that we have the ability to claim our God-given energy, our God-given goddess energy, and to exalt the anima within the animus, as Carl Jung might have put it. Meanwhile, this conjunction happens as AI takes a seat on the general purpose technology or GPT throne. GPTs are inventions such as electricity, the steam engine, etc. GPTs influence everything in multiple categories and lead to varying levels of ontological existential shock and change the world, cross the Rubicon styles of changes. Okay, let's move on to the calendar. June 4th to the 9th, 2026 in brief. Times given are Eastern Daylight Time, which is Greenwich Mean Time minus 5 hours. Okay, here it goes, kids. June 4th. By the way, our moon has actually been void of course for another transit as I'm recording. In about 20 minutes, it's going to go into sign. So we're kind of in this time of year where the transits for Luna are really long in between sign. You'll hear me talk about that again in a second. June 4th, Mars semi-sextile Saturn at 2:44 p.m. 30-degree aspect. Find your sense of humor. So the semi-sextile tends to get the adjective irritation, irritating gets put in there because it's just a little bit of annoying. It's like Mars and Saturn aren't getting on well with each other, and we'll feel those energies within ourselves based on the idea that we have all of these different energies within ourselves, based on the idea that Carl Jung would have said we have all these little people within us, all these archetypes. So Mars, semi-sextile Saturn, Mars and Saturn are just a little annoyed with each other. Okay, let's move on. Still June 4th, Mercury quincunx Pluto at 2:51 p.m. Hard aspect, the quincunx. It's 150 degrees. And all I really say there is ground. That was my primary read. Mercury's the mind, Pluto's the great destroyer. So when they're in a hard aspect with each other, they're not getting on quite well. So we can have destructive thoughts in our mind. So if we ground, that will tend to feel better. June 5th, Juno, the asteroid, incidentally married to Jove in mythology, basically a Jupiter figure, retrogrades at 5:55 p.m. She's the goddess of mothers, among other things, in the sign of Aquarius, where Pluto is also in retrograde motion. Not a lot's retrograde, incidentally. So Juno retrograding in Aquarius, along with Pluto, who's in retrograde, is noteworthy. June 5th through the 6th, we've got another long lunar transit. Luna leaves Aquarius at 3:51 p.m. and enters Pisces at 8:43 p.m. on June 6th. Woohoo! June 6th is the remembrance of D-Day when the Allies invaded Europe and essentially started the machinations that began the completion of World War II, which was really the great break in the 20th century. It changed the world, essentially. June 8th, Luna shifts from her third quarter phase to her fourth at 6 a.m. So she's fixing to get new. She'll be new after this calendar. I think it's the 12th officially. Don't quote me there. I'll have to look at my ephemeris to get the right time. June 8th, 9th, long lunish lunar transit leaves Pisces at 8:38 p.m., enters Aries at 4:33 a.m. on June 9th. So again, another long lunar transit. June 9th, Venus conjunct Jupiter at 3:59 p.m. So that's really what this whole piece today is about. It's the major thing happening in the coming 5 days. 0 degree aspect, allow this miracle. Y'all have heard me say this before, but the big thing about a conjunction is that when the two come together, they become greater than the sum of their parts. So if you think of, a relationship happening, the relationship itself becomes a thing and it's large. And that's really any type of relationship from romantic, familial to business, etc. Okay, birthdays, Liz, June 6th, Ian B on June 7th, as well as Jude O, same day, June 7th. And Liz's last initial is S, as in stand. I am not doing last names like I used to do just because of privacy and all that jazz. Okay, all for now, friends. I would like to give special thanks to Alex, Ada, Big Ricky, Deanna, Ginger, Jude, Kelly, KM, Lara, Laura M, Lizardsky, Marnie, PJ, Peggy, Fally, Siegel, Soster, Terry, Tina Z, and Charles. As always, I have my inspirations and data essentially. They come from the astrological calendar, Llewellyn's 2026 Ephemeris and Aspectarian. Till tomorrow and in carrying the light. Appreciate your being here, and I'll catch you around the bend. Yeah.